What is your price? Because if your price is not your life, then you are for sale. Thank you for watching The Price is My Life. This show is brought to you by American Independence Gold and Impact Health Sharing. Joining us today is Michelle Evans. Michelle joins us in studio here today in Florida. Michelle is the current Republican Party chair of Williamson County in the state of Texas. You come from, that's the Austin area, Austin, yes. Capital, Texas. Evans is currently under criminal investigation for an event stemming back to May of 2023 when she was at the state capitol in support of something called SB 14, a bill which was eventually passed statewide to ban gender transition surgeries for minors. Now, at the event, Evans encountered a biological male lawmaker using the women's bathroom and confronted him. A colleague of Michelle's took a photo of the man, fully clothed, using the sink and posted it to Facebook to argue against this activity. Now, Evans posted the photo to X, and here you have the photo with the caption, "I'm sure it won't be the last time today, but just had to tell this man to stop using the women's restroom at the Capitol. These are young girls here on school field trips. Take your delusion and fetish the F out of our spaces." Hashtags are a thing of the past, but she uses hashtags. Trans women are men, protect female spaces, hashtag Texas legislature. Evans posted that photo, and due to the posting, a district attorney for Travis County, that's the county that Austin, Texas is located in, Jose Garza, launched an investigation into whether Evans violated state law prohibiting the photographing or recording of another person in a bathroom without consent. And there's the lawsuit, and this is in the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. That's an appeals court. We have that in common, by the way. We're both litigating in appeals courts.
We're both on the right side.
I'm in the D.C. Circuit Court. You're in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. This is recently December 9th, 2025. Michelle Evans, plaintiff, versus Jose Garza. And again, this is all from 2023. Long introduction for you, Evans. This is a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Now, last month, and I got to set it for the audience and know what's going on.
Sure.
Elon Musk's X came out in support of Evans' legal case, stating that posting the photo that she hadn't even taken herself is within the purview of the First Amendment. And this is the Global Government Affairs for X, faces potential criminal charges, in sharing political commentary about a heated topic. Now, Evans joins us here today. So, wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I don't even know where to begin. Where do you want to begin?
Let's begin on the day that this happened,
Okay.
because that's when things were kind of wild. Actually, I'm going to go back a couple weeks before that.
Okay.
So this was the third time that the House was debating passage of this bill. The first time they debated it, everybody was removed from the gallery because the trans activists had kind of what we called a transurrection. They unfurled banners. They
A trans what?
Transurrection.
Oh, transurrection. I thought you said trans erection.
No.
I don't know if that was
gosh,
a Generation
that's a whole different
Z term.
issue.
Okay. Transurrection, continue.
And so everybody was removed from the gallery. We couldn't debate the bill. The second time there was a point of order. It was very short-lived. And so the third time, we were anticipating this would pass. We would be successful. Myself and dozens of other activists, conservative activists, were in the audience wearing matching red shirts and that said "Save Texas Kids." During a lull, we took a bathroom break. I escorted some of the older females I was carrying that day, and we anticipated that there might be something hinky happening. And, that transurrection, I'm trying to say it in a way that's not confusing. One of the activists, the trans activists, hit my hand to try to take my phone away. They were screaming, they were berating us, getting in our faces. So just to kind of add some protection, I took them to the restroom. This man walks in.
Took who to the restroom?
These ladies with me, the other conservative activist ladies. While we're in line, a man walks in, very clearly a man, besides the pink hair, nothing.
That's the individual in the photograph.
Yes.
Okay.
We allowed him to go before us, do his business. He came out, was washing his hands. I held the door open to the whole restroom. So what's notable is like in that situation, everybody can see inside that space. You can't see the stalls, but you can see who's lined up and who's drying their hands. So it's not really a private area. Uh, as he was leaving, I said, please use the restroom across the hall next time. This is not a men's space. And he said, well, I'm legally a woman. Um, back to the gallery. A friend of mine says, hey, did you hear that there was a man in the restroom? I said, yeah, I was in there. He said, well, so-and-so put it on Facebook. He sent me the picture. I did a tweet about it, an X post, and it just went viral really quickly, which had never happened to me before. So it was a very odd experience to be happening in real time. 1.5 million views, retweeted
Wow.
1,500 times. And people were making comments, trans activists were making comments like, I'm going to report you to the DA, to DPS, tagging capital DPS. And within a few hours, a DPS lieutenant, Department of Public Safety lieutenant, came over and took me aside and said, hey, we need to talk to you about this. Go ahead.
Sorry, finished.
They took me to a holding office and asked me about the photo. I said I didn't take it, and that's pretty much where the conversation ended.
Did you tell the individual to take the photo? Did you participate in, or did they just do it without you?
They did it. I didn't know when it was happening.
As far as I know, that's settled constitutional law. Like, if someone else takes a photo, you're allowed to publish it.
Yeah. I mean, it's what they're trying to investigate me for is a state jail felony sex crime. So
for the publication of someone else's photo?
Transmitting a recording or a photo of somebody in a private space without their consent with the intent of sexualizing a photo in some way, which clearly this was not.
There's some state law, and pardon me, I haven't looked into the particular law, but it seems to me a matter of federal law. There's a case called Bartnicki v. Vopper, which I know about because of the FBI raid against me with the Ashley Biden diary. That if somebody else breaks the law, even if the photographer broke the law, your publication of it shouldn't be illegal. That's what I know to be settled United States Supreme Court precedent. Let's face it, healthcare is a mess. Outrageous premiums, surprise bills, denied claims, and now the rates are climbing again. Medical debt is the #1 cause of bankruptcy, even for people with insurance. That's why I switched to Impact Health Sharing. No networks, no woke nonsense, just real savings and up to 50%. You can pick your doctor, there's no surprise bills, there's 24/7 telehealth, and maternity support. Take control of your healthcare before the system decides for you. Go to impactomg.com, that's impactomg.com, or call 855-378-6777 now. Impact Health Sharing, built differently. James O'Keefe. You know me for exposing the truth and holding the corrupt elite responsible and accountable. However, today I want to tell you about protecting your own freedom, your finances. Before you buy any gold or silver, hear this. We're going through one of the biggest financial shifts of our lifetime. De-dollarization. Nations like China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia are pulling away from the US dollar. And that threatens your savings and retirement security. Legendary investor Ray Dalio warns skyrocketing debt, relentless money printing, and a weakening dollar are all part of a dangerous cycle that could impact you. That's why more Americans are turning to real assets like physical gold and silver. Gold just surged past $3,700 per ounce, and momentum is building. I've partnered with veteran-owned American Independence Gold to help you take action. Open a qualifying account today and get up to $10,000 in bonus gold and our free gold protection guide. And here's the best part. A portion of every sale supports Tunnel to Towers and Wounded Warriors. Freedom isn't given, it's secured. This is James O'Keefe. As always, this is not financial advice. Always check with your licensed financial advisor before you invest.
Well, and this man had already announced that he was a candidate for Texas House. So it's also, in our mind, protected political speech, because it's kind of a no holds barred when it's a politician. You know, there's I guess it was like Larry Flint used to do a lot of satire about public figures. So that kind of changes the game too. But, and plus it was retweeted by 1,500 people. You know, if I didn't take the photo, I published it. These people republished it by retweeting it, so including trans activists, but none of them are being pursued.
Do you know of any other cases like this where someone took a photograph in a bathroom of a transgender individual?
The only one that I'm aware of is Peyton McNabb, who is a female athlete. In her college uh, bathroom, there was a man dressed as a woman. She took video of that person and told them to leave, essentially. And I think she was removed from her sorority. She was threatened with expulsion, but nothing happened to the man.
No criminal
No.
actions.
No.
So there's a lot to unpack here in no particular order. The officer that confronted you, do you think he was just doing your job, or do you think he agreed with the transgender movement activities?
I think he was just doing his job. I've spoken with him subsequently, and I wouldn't say that he's supportive, but he's been very communicative.
And if we could go, team, back to that Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals document from December 9th, 2025. So this got its way into federal court. Is that right?
About a month after this happened, we sued.
You sued
yes.
as a plaintiff. You sued in the district court.
Yep.
And then tell me about the journey from the time you sued. This is last month, filed in the Fifth Circuit. How did that go?
We initially filed for an injunction, but DA Garza said, as long as this is pending litigation, we'll pause the criminal investigation. Well, on December 9th, in a 2-1 opinion, the Fifth Circuit said, no need to pause, move forward.
Move forward?
Yeah.
With the criminal investigation?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
So this is the order from the United States District Court for the Western District of Texas. And they mention this penal code. Oh, here we go.
Yep.
We have the document if we want to throw that on the screen. Evan's team. This is Penal Code 1235. I want to pull that up. By the way, do you know the penal code well, I'll pull it up in a moment.
It's invasive visual recording.
What is it?
Invasive visual recording.
Invasive visual recording.
Yes, with the intent to invade somebody's privacy.
I see. Do you think they have a point? Just like, what if it wasn't a transgender individual? What is your argument about whether the person who took the photograph invaded privacy?
I mean, you can't see the man's face. It wasn't intended to invade his privacy. He's never been named publicly, at least not by me. The person that took the photograph has no idea who he is. It was to make a political statement and just to make a statement about biological reality. Like, you do not belong here. Please don't be in this space. What's interesting is a couple of things have changed since May of 2023. This statute has changed where anybody who is convicted of this particular crime has to register as a sex offender. So, yeah. I in the weeks after this happened, my biggest fear was, am I going to be convicted and have to register as a sex offender, maybe lose my children as a result of that?
You have to go to trial.
Right.
When is that scheduled?
There has been no indictment that I'm aware of. I check the warrant search database a few times a week to see if he's filed a warrant against me, and nothing has been filed so far.
How long do they have? When's the statute of limitations expire?
This May. So just a few
more
months.
What do you think's going to happen?
I mean, honestly, I think that he will just sit on it, but I'm not really willing to take that risk.
It's one of those things where, and we're going to unpack this here over the next hour, but it seems to me, just having learned about this and going through what I've been through, that you probably will win as long as you don't give up.
Right.
That's the bottom line. But the process is the punishment.
Yes, like we were saying, yeah.
And how have you handled that part of it?
It really is, I've been asked many times, are you worried? Are you scared? Are you concerned? And I'm not at this point.
Why not?
It's because it's such a small price to pay in the bigger picture. I'm happy that things have changed in our state, that in public buildings, men are no longer allowed to be in women's restrooms. So this would not happen now, or if it did, there would be consequences. Just a few days before the 2-1 decision, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton released a tip line that he'd set up. in response to the Texas Women's Privacy Act going into effect on December 4th, um, to notify his office if men are in women's spaces in public buildings, and he actually encouraged submitting photo evidence. So things have changed, and if I can be a part of that, or if I was a part of that, then I'm more than happy that my story helped inform lawmakers that this ludicrous stuff was happening in the state of Texas.
It's pretty trouble, a hard thing psychologically to go through this court process, this criminal. I mean, how has it? I mean, how must it affect you in some way?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the biggest fear I had in the short term was if I'm investigated, convicted, you know, state jail felony, you don't get out on good time. You just do your straight 3 years. And I don't, orange is not my color. I wouldn't look forward to that in any way, but I'm confident in.
Well, they might turn you into a martyr if you did that. If you become a martyr.
I think some of this would as well, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't mind. After the December 9th decision, I talked to my county sheriff and I said, what's the process? If DA Garza files a warrant, are they going to come up here? Do they ask you to come to my house and pick me up? And he said, you can do a
warrant for your arrest.
Right. He said, you could arrange for a walkthrough in Williamson County, take your picture and go home. And so that's kind of my short-term plan, get my hair done, go take my picture.
This really comes down to intent.
Yeah.
And again, we're reading from the case here. Quote, this is also in the Fifth Circuit, Penal Code 1235. We've looked it up here. Penal Code 1235, the Texas law states that, and as you said, makes it a crime to secretly photograph, record, broadcast, or transmit.
Mm-hmm.
So broadcast. You did transmit it, so I suppose that's part of the code, whether you took the photograph or not. Visual images of another person's intimate areas or in private settings without their consent, and with the intent to invade the privacy. Now, that's a key phrase here, because was it your intent to invade their privacy?
It wasn't even a private area.
Okay.
Like I said, I had the door held open. Nobody was complaining. I laughed because USA Today covered the Elon Musk involvement. And
today?
A few weeks ago, after they tweeted it out. And the thumbnail photo for the article was the same bathroom full of trans rights activists sitting in that area.
Mm-hmm.
USA Today published that, but that's not a problem. They're all fully dressed. You can see their faces. This man, like I said, face obscured, fully dressed, at a sink. Everybody can see him. This is not an area that, in a women's restroom at least, you would anticipate anybody to undress, to do anything private. It's just not considered a private area in my.
This is the statement from Global Affair. Have you talked to Elon directly?
I have not.
No.
I have emailed a little bit with the attorneys. They reached out to my attorney.
I mean, this week he's dealing with his baby mama and the whole situation there. So you probably should talk to him directly about this. Yeah. I mean, listen, I generally support your cause, especially with children. I don't think that, if you want to, pardon my language, but if you want to chop your privates off and you're 25 years old, okay, that's one thing. But if you start doing it with children, that's another. But I'm just kind of going to be a legal nerd for a second. It seems like the problem is in Texas, a bathroom is per se a private place according to the statute.
Mm-hmm.
So, if someone is clothed and fully clothed and just washing their hands, the law would treat a bathroom as a private place. The location itself carries significant legal weight, and the bathroom is explicitly named in the statute. So it comes down maybe to prosecutorial discretion whether this guy has the balls to bring you before a jury.
Yeah, and he's like many DAs in large blue urban areas. He doesn't necessarily prosecute violent criminals, but I wouldn't put it past him to.
He doesn't go after violent
criminals.
He does not. It goes back to prosecutorial discretion.
Right.
And that kind of raises bigger issues.
Right.
And so they launched an investigation into you.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us about the phone seizure situation.
So when this happened on May 12th, 2023, when I was in the holding office with the DPS officers, well, on my way down, I called a couple of state reps who were on the floor and I said, I need some help. Like, I don't know what to do in this situation. One of them came off the floor. He's an attorney. And, he came into the room. He said, turn all your body cams off. We're no longer talking. He went out and spoke to the DPS lieutenant and came back and said, they're telling me that you can leave, but your phone cannot. They believe that they had probable cause to seize my phone. So turned it off and handed it over, and still do not have that phone.
They seized your phone. Do they have a warrant?
No.
No warrant.
No.
I'm not sure how that process is supposed to work in the state of Texas, but
I,
are they supposed to have a warrant?
In that situation, it was, I was out. It was in over my skis, right? I had not had any experience of that type in my life. Do I want to get home to see my kids, or do I want to hold on to my phone and be stubborn about it? In retrospect, maybe I should have, but I wanted to be able to get home to see my children that night and not spend the night in jail or spend the night detained.
I mean, are they trying to go through your phone to get contraband so they can embarrass you or find some, not contraband, but compromising information about how you your photos or your texts with friends or et cetera? That seems one possibility.
Who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past anybody, because it's DPS has said the next day it went to the Travis County District Attorney's Office. So it's in their possession. They do not have possession of it anymore. And have communicated with him, let's try to get it back to her, and he will not. They felt like they no longer had probable cause to keep it, and Travis County DA told them essentially, I don't care.
This is James O'Keefe. You know me for exposing the truth and holding the corrupt elite responsible and accountable. However, today I want to tell you about protecting your own freedom, your finances. Before you buy any gold or silver, hear this. We're going through one of the biggest financial shifts of our lifetime. De-dollarization. Nations like China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia are pulling away from the US dollar. And that threatens your savings and retirement security. Legendary investor Ray Dalio warns skyrocketing debt, relentless money printing, and a weakening dollar are all part of a dangerous cycle that could impact you. That's why more Americans are turning to real assets like physical gold and silver. Gold just surged past $3,700 per ounce, and momentum is building. I've partnered with veteran-owned American Independence Gold to help you take action. Open a qualifying account today and get up to $10,000 in bonus gold and our free gold protection guide. And here's the best part. A portion of every sale supports Tunnel to Towers and wounded warriors. Freedom isn't given, it's secured. This is James O'Keefe. As always, this is not financial advice. Always check with your licensed financial advisor before you invest. Let's face it, healthcare is a mess. Outrageous premiums, surprise bills, denied claims, and now the rates are climbing again. Medical debt is the #1 cause of bankruptcy, even for people with insurance. That's why I switched to Impact Health Sharing. No networks, no woke nonsense, just real savings and up to 50%. You can pick your doctor, there's no surprise bills, there's 24/7 telehealth, and maternity support. Take control of your healthcare before the system decides for you. Go to impactomg.com, that's impactomg.com, or call 855-378-6777 now. Impact Health Sharing, built differently. Imagining yourself getting a warrant for your arrest, and they'll probably give you a bail or bond where you're probably not going to spend time in jail, maybe be processed, but imagining yourself forward in that situation, and you're headed to a trial under the statute, and there's a jury. I don't know if it's 9 people or 12 people in Texas, but are you prepared to go through that if you need to?
Yes.
Does that scare you?
Just the unknown part of it, like what I've been through civil litigation before. I've never been the subject of a criminal investigation or a trial. It doesn't bring me any comfort that it would be in Travis County. Travis County
the jury.
Yeah.
It's like mixed. It's like 60-40 Democrat, I'm assuming.
75-25.
Really?
Yes.
And Do you think that the political party of the jury would basically be dispositive of how they would approach your innocence or guilt here?
I think that they would. I think the potential is there that they wouldn't care whether my intent was to invade his privacy or not. They're going to say this is a trans woman who belongs in that space. He had a license that said he was a female, so that made him a female magically.
What's the maximum punishment? Do you know?
3 years.
3 years in prison. Well, you would appeal that if you were found guilty.
I would fight this as long. I mean, either way, either through the free speech lawsuit or criminal, whatever it is, I am prepared to fight it as long as I can.
And the Fifth Circuit thing, the panel ruled on that. So where does your free speech lawsuit stand now?
We've filed a petition to go en banc. I don't think the 2-1 opinion was necessarily reflective of the entire court, which tends to be more conservative.
And how are you paying all these legal bills?
I have a Give, Send, Go.
What is that Give, Send, Go?
Michelle Wright's Civil Defense Fund, I think.
We will put that on the screen here.
That would be phenomenal.
Michelle, say that again. What's the
Michelle Evans? I think it's Civil Rights Defense.
But I mean,
yeah.
And how much money have you raised so far? Order of magnitude.
$8,000.
Well, that's not going to pay for all these little bills.
No, I have a great attorney named Tony McDonald.
I know Tony McDonald.
You know Tony McDonald.
Yes, I do.
So, super nerdy lawyer that I adore him. So he's doing this because it's the right thing to do, but I feel he deserves to be compensated for what he's doing. It's been fairly quiet for the last 2.5 years until this decision came or this ruling came. So I gave him some money initially, closed down the Give, Send, Go, and was just kind of not thinking much about this case. And then that ruling came out on December 9th. So things have kind of heated up since
What's
then.
been the hardest part for you to deal with of all the things over the last 3 years? Was there a moment? Was there a breaking point? Was there a challenging part of this process for you, the most challenging?
The thought of not seeing my children, the thought of them not having a mother, either because she's behind bars or because she's suddenly a registered sex offender and, somebody makes an argument that I shouldn't have custody of my own children.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most upsetting part. People came to my home. People published my address. It is what it is. Like
random people.
Yes.
Or news people?
No, random people, activists.
Tranny people.
Yeah, tranny people.
So they don't consider you a friend.
They don't. My former neighbor, they moved within the last 5 or 6 months. It was a polyamorous throuple with 2 trans-identifying males.
I don't even know. That's a mouthful.
It was a lot, and it was a lot to explain to my children when the dad in this home right next door to us suddenly started walking around with fake breasts and short shorts and things like that. It's not something you want to explain to your 9-year-old son.
We didn't have those issues in the 90s. Not really.
No, it was fairly underground if it happened at all. It definitely was not paraded out in public, and there wasn't a civil rights argument. How old are your kids? They're 12, 14, and 18 now.
So they're coming of age for the most part.
Yeah.
Can we go to the clip of the phone seizure? Let's go back to the phone seizure section. Kind of relates to my situation. My phones were seized, but that was the FBI, not the Department of Public Safety with probable cause. Go ahead and play the clip.
A DPS lieutenant approached me in the house gallery and asked me to come outside for a few questions. They ultimately took me to a holding office in the Capitol and illegally detained me and illegally seized my phone, which I still do not have. The lieutenant that spoke to me said, "We received several reports about this photo that you took." And I said, "I didn't take the photo." And that was where the conversation ended. But he continued to, escort me to the holding room. But he said that the Travis County District Attorney had also received calls and had taken an interest in the case. So without a search warrant, they seized my phone. They basically told me, "You can leave, but your phone cannot." So I wasn't allowed to leave until I gave my phone up.
Interesting. You weren't allowed to leave. That's fascinating. I mean, in my case, the FBI made me look at my phone and call, and then they snatched it out of my hand. So,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and then you've been on various. That's the Sarah Gonzalez clip.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Let's pull the redacted affidavit up from the FBI case, and this is. I'm gonna put it on the screen for the audience here.
Very informative.
Yeah. Probable cause justifying the search of the subject. Isn't the probable cause in the Texas case, isn't that something that you should be able to see? I guess maybe not until the case is dropped.
Yeah, I did a public information request to the Travis County DA's office in June of 2023. The response was, we have information, but we can't provide that to you because it's an active investigation. Up until then, the weeks prior, they had said there is no investigation, but then they confirmed it in that communication.
Well, the active investigation, when it's no longer active, you have a right to see that probable cause.
And it's still an active investigation.
Until May.
Yeah.
So we went over the Elon Musk reaction, and the First Amendment protects Evans's speech. Fifth Circuit, Evans is pursuing an appeal before the 17. That's an en banc.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to the audience what en banc means?
It means you get the entire panel of judges instead of just the three. The first step in the Fifth Circuit is to get the 3-judge panel.
I had a situation in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals where
not
we
as
won.
Friendly.
What's that?
It's not as friendly.
Not as friendly, but more friendly than it's ever been.
Okay.
We tried to overturn the Oregon recording law.
Mm-hmm.
We won, and then they won en banc. So it was reversed.
Okay.
The system always has a way of protecting itself.
Yes.
It's hard to go up against the system.
It's an organism that will surround itself. Yeah.
Yes. And you're getting wrapped up in. I'm very impressed you've been able to do all this with $8,000. Like, that's perhaps the most impressive thing. I think you need to add like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros to that number.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, the X-Corp legal team reached out to us just before Christmas, out of the blue, and said that they were interested in helping with the case, and they have not gone into detail about what help they want to provide, at least not directly to me. It was misrepresented in the media as though they're funding my case. There's been no discussion of financial support whatsoever. It's just they have an interest in the case and they want to help see it through. They are listed. I think I saw DA Garza's response to our en banc petition, and it included that legal team as part of my representation.
There's your Give, Send, Go page.
That's me.
$8,563, which, if the market rate for an attorney is $500, that's about 16 hours of legal work. What's interesting too is that a lot of these attorneys, they profit, not yours.
No.
You have an unbelievably exception to the rule, but attorneys tend to profit from the unjust prosecution. Everyone makes money.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lawyer picnic. Everybody gets pie except for the client. Do you ever feel that way?
So the organization that I work for just concluded a jury trial and some civil litigation, where we were the plaintiffs, and I got to see our attorney, not Tony, but a different attorney, in action. And I will say that some are very much worth what they charge. Seeing the defendants' attorneys, I will say some of them are definitely not worth what they charge, and the jury verdict reflected that.
And we have another picture of the Senate Committee on State Affairs here. Oh, there's a video.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Evans. I'm the chairman of the Williamson County Republican Party, speaking today in support of SB 7. In 2021, at a high school in the suburbs of Austin, several teenage girls who were dressing out for band practice were confronted with a disturbing situation. A teenage boy who identified as gender fluid was in the female changing area with them. When one student reported this to her parents and the family confronted school administrators, the females were given the option of changing at home or in pop-up tents. Deference was given to the district, or by the district, to the male and his identity. In 2023, a male in his 40s who only recently had decided he identified as a woman felt entitled to use a women's restroom here in the Capitol. After women spoke out about the incident, they were treated like criminals. Recently, a post-operative trans-identifying male was housed with women in a federal prison in Texas. Subsequently, an incarcerated female was treated for catastrophic injuries after he penetrated her with a pencil. The passage of HB 229 was a significant step toward acknowledging what humans have known for millennia, but men who adopt a false identity do not care about statutory definitions. Further, they and their enablers ignore the fact that males make up the overwhelming majority of perpetrators of violence, sexual or otherwise, and they ignore that males cannot simply identify out of these patterns of aggression. In fact, trans-identifying males have been shown to have an even greater tendency toward sexual predation and violence. This is not to say that all of these delusional males are violent, but there's certainly no way for a teenage girl to know which trans-identifying male is a friend and which is a foe. We mustn't treat these males any differently than we would any other male. Women and men are inherently and beautifully different. On the whole, women have distinct physical vulnerabilities as a result of immutable characteristics, and as a society, we have rightfully respected that these distinctions are worthy of legal protections. It is only in recent years that we've seemed to have lost this respect, and as a result, women have lost their rights to safety, dignity, fairness, privacy, and consent simply because men are afraid of other men in men's spaces. That is not women's cross to bear. Thank you.
And thanks. Now, tell us about the circumstances of this testimony?
Well, you'll be happy to hear that the man sitting next to me was the first Mr. Corpus Christi bear, so that was exciting. But
a what? A bear?
Yeah, it's a big, hairy, gay man.
Not a trans, but just gay.
Yeah. So this was the Senate hearing, committee hearing on SB 7, the Texas Women's Privacy Act. That day, they had a bunch of trans rights activists come and scream things from the gallery when we were testifying. And I was just using my story and other stories that I was privy to advocate for the passage of that. And it did pass, thank God.
So what got you into this issue?
The story that I shared at the beginning of that testimony of the girls at Round Rock High School who were told that they needed to go home to change because of a gender fluid male that was using their space. They didn't ask. The parents went to administration and said, why doesn't he just use the gender neutral single stall to change? And the school ultimately said his parents think that that's discriminatory. So we are allowing him to use the girls' space. If the girls have a problem with that, they need to go home to change. They can use a pop-up tent, or they can all share the single use bathroom.
Yeah, we have another clip. Let's pull the other clip of you speaking with Sarah Gonzalez.
Please explain, just kind of from start to finish, what is going on.
So myself and a few other, dozens of other activists arrived at the Capitol early in the morning of May 12th to watch history be made and see SB 14 voted into law. While we were there, I was escorting older women to the bathroom because they felt uncomfortable going. They knew that there was a possibility that men would be there. And
Which is in Texas.
Yes, in Texas. And at the Capitol where laws are made and should be upheld. But we went into the bathroom. There was probably 6 or 7 women with me. And lo and behold, a man came in, used the stall. And when he came out, while he was in there, I told people very quietly, there's a man here so that they would know, if they're not comfortable with that they would wait. He came out, washed his hands. I went and opened the entry door for the bathroom and held it open until he was done. And as he was exiting, I said, next time you use the bathroom across the hall, that's the men's bathroom. Do not come back in here. And he looked at me and said, well, legally I'm a woman, which whatever that means.
Right.
But, and I said, that doesn't matter, that this is not your bathroom. This is a woman's space. And then when I returned to the gallery, a friend of mine in there said, oh yeah, so-and-so had posted it on Facebook already. And I said, okay, go ahead and send me the picture. So he did. I received the picture basically third hand, not knowing that a picture was taken in there, and tweeted it out and said, basically, this is probably not going to be the last time I have to tell a man to not use the women's bathroom at the Capitol today. There are several school field trips, elementary school field trips at the Capitol at the time with young girls. So you never know who you're going to be in the bathroom with. It went viral. And about 8 hours later, a DPS lieutenant approached me in the House gallery and asked me to come outside for a few questions. They ultimately took me to a holding office.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of going through the same stuff. By the way,
Yeah.
did you see did you hear the Justice Alito, the Supreme Court Alito viral moment just the other day when he pressed the ACLU lawyer on regarding the laws?
The definition of
Have
man
you
and
seen
woman.
that?
I heard it. Yes.
It's kind of like reminds me of like Double Think in George Orwell's 1984. I don't know if the team you can pull that audio clip of from X, but while they're doing that, why is this happening? I know it's like a very meta
Yeah.
foundational question, but what's going on in society?
I mean, we could go down the rabbit trail of,
What's the 60-second version from your perspective?
There is this, I mean, we live in a society that's me, and everybody wants their special rights. And it's, kind of this Olympics of who's the most marginalized, the intersectionality of all of these different identities and whatnot. But ultimately, it's men who want to invade women's everything. One of the female athletes that was in DC this week for the SCOTUS case was saying, if men are allowed to come into our spaces, into our sports, there is no longer a female category. There's going to be male category on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
There won't be a male category, and nobody, for some reason, it just is not being absorbed by people on the left. These ideologues who will live and die by feelings instead of, facts. And I just, it's this circular logic. How do you define a man, woman, or what is a woman?
But it seems to be a losing issue for them. Like if this is the hill that they die on, if this is the hill that District Attorney Jose Garza dies on, it seems like he's going to lose that power struggle. I mean, as so goes the country.
God willing, but they are so dug in places like Austin, and it's really. I mean, there's a bit of Austin in my county, so we see a little bit of it. It's not a very conservative area, but it's a little more conservative than the center of Austin. But they cannot seem to dig themselves out of this hole, and they perpetuate it. He gets reelected easily, even though there's an increase in crime, there is increase in homelessness on the streets. He's not prosecuting violent criminals. He's going after law enforcement for the Summer of Love and their response. So he's still considered fairly popular enough to retain his seat.
We have that clip from Justice Alito. Let's pull that up. This is from the United States
Yes, Your
Supreme
Honor.
Court.
If it does that, then is it not necessary for there to be, for equal protection purposes, if that is challenged under the Equal Protection Clause, an understanding of what it means to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that definition for equal protection purposes? What does it mean to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman?
Sorry, I misunderstood your question. I think that the underlying enactment, whatever it was, the policy, the law, we'd have to have an understanding of how the state or the government was just understanding that term to figure out whether or not someone was excluded. We do not have a definition for the court, and we don't take issue with we're not disputing the definition here. What we're saying is that the way it applies in practice is to exclude birth sex males categorically from women's teams, and that there's a subset of those birth sex males where it doesn't make sense to do so according to the state's own interest.
Well, how can a court determine whether there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means for equal protection purposes?
I think here we just know we basically know that that they've identified pursuant to their own statute, Lindsay qualifies as a birth sex male, and she's being excluded categorically from the women's teams as the statute. So we're taking the statute's definitions as we find them, and we don't dispute them.
Yeah, that's your reaction to that. Listening to that again.
gives me a headache. I'm trying to follow along with her logic. And, first of all, to use the term she to refer to a man or a boy in a court of law, I think is just a travesty. I mean, in any place, like, we should expect a court of law to be based in truth and reality. You're always you're seeking objective truth in a
In a
court of
court
law.
of law.
Yeah.
Yeah, all it's supposed to be logical and rational, but
Yeah. But Judge Amy Coney Barrett even adopted their language, referring to this boy as a trans girl.
how did she do that?
She said, what she was asking some question about, what do we do about these trans girls? Like, we don't do anything because they're boys.
Why do you think she did that? Let's face it, healthcare is a mess. Outrageous premiums, surprise bills, denied claims, and now the rates are climbing again. Medical debt is the #1 cause of bankruptcy, even for people with insurance. That's why I switched to Impact Health Sharing. No networks, no woke nonsense, just real savings and up to 50%. You can pick your doctor, there's no surprise bills, there's 24/7 telehealth, and maternity support. Take control of your healthcare before the system decides for you. Go to impactomg.com, that's impactomg.com, or call 855-378-6777 now. Impact Health Sharing, built differently. James O'Keefe. You know me for exposing the truth and holding the corrupt elite responsible and accountable. However, today I want to tell you about protecting your own freedom, your finances. Before you buy any gold or silver, hear this. We're going through one of the biggest financial shifts of our lifetime. De-dollarization. Nations like China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia are pulling away from the US dollar. And that threatens your savings and retirement security. Legendary investor Ray Dalio warns skyrocketing debt, relentless money printing, and a weakening dollar are all part of a dangerous cycle that could impact you. That's why more Americans are turning to real assets like physical gold and silver. Gold just surged past $3,700 per ounce, and momentum is building. I've partnered with veteran-owned American Independence Gold to help you take action. Open a qualifying account today and get up to $10,000 in bonus gold and our free gold protection guide. And here's the best part. A portion of every sale supports Tunnel to Towers and Wounded Warriors. Freedom isn't given, it's secured. This is James O'Keefe. As always, this is not financial advice. Always check with your licensed financial advisor before you invest.
There's terms going around: toxic empathy, suicidal empathy.
Suicidal empathy, I've heard that one.
Yeah, GAD-SAD and toxic empathy.
I've heard that
Tally
recently.
doc.
I've never heard suicidal empathy until recently. I don't know if it's a new term.
It's a book that's coming out.
Is it?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the old adage about like white guilt, that kind of concept.
Yeah.
This is the passage from George Orwell's 1984. I quote it religiously. I recommend that everyone reread this book every single year. If you don't like reading, listen to it. Brother, I was born in the year 1984.
Oh.
That's ironic. Put up on the screen. Double think. Double think means the power of holding two contradictory beliefs in one's mind simultaneously and accepting both of them.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the ACLU lawyer was involved in that deal. And I've got mixed views on the ACLU because they defended me in the amicus brief for the FBI raid. So
I have a feeling they're not going to defend me.
Probably. Well, your case involves kind of two competing interests, which is the right to privacy and the First Amendment, which is something that's fundamental to what I do. That's why it's fascinating to me. But that's an interesting, looking at it not through the lens of like the trans issue, just right to privacy. Like, let me pose a hypothetical to you.
Uh-huh.
If it wasn't a picture of like a tranny, if it was just a picture of a guy, in his baseball cap washing his hands, what does the law do in that situation?
Travis County DA Garza, what does he do?
What does the law do? Because we are and it's so unfortunate that we have to look at the world through who's in charge, who appointed the judge.
Yeah.
And we've kind of resigned ourselves. That's just the way it is. But let's assume for a moment that it was an absolute neutral judge.
Right.
And an absolute fair, honest, nonpartisan district attorney. and let's just call them Jones.
Mhm.
Jones took a photograph of a guy washing his hands with his trucker hat in the was it a men's restroom or a women's restroom?
It was in a women's
Women's
restroom.
restroom. Okay, and it was a dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was a dude.
That's kind of like a weird dynamic because the hypothetical have to be.
Well,
it was a women's restroom.
Yeah, your hypothetical is that it's a man that's not pretending to be a woman.
Let me change my mistake. Let me change the hypothetical. Let's say a man. I feel like I'm in law school. Let's say a man by accident, not through, he didn't intend to, but a guy in a trucker hat didn't look at the sign and was washing his hands in a women's restroom, and a photo was taken of them. Under the Texas statute, is that a crime?
Well, we go back to the intent part of that,
Okay.
the statute, right? My intent was never to invade anyone's privacy, and the hill I'm willing to die on here is that, does his consent matter more than ours? In a women's space, does a man's consent matter more than our consent? Because at the moment that he entered our space, he was violating the consent of every woman in that room. Even if one woman amongst us consented, she does not get to consent for all of us. So, and to kind of defend the woman that took that photo, she thought that she was documenting a crime.
Is she been indicted or
No.
warranted?
I have not named her.
Not just you, not her.
I haven't named her, so no.
You have not named her. So she's an anonymous source at this point.
Yes.
And if they compel you to testify at trial to name her, what will you do?
No.
You won't answer.
No.
If the judge orders you under contempt of court to name her, what will you do?
I won't name her.
You will not name her.
No.
Well, at the federal level, the U.S. Marshals will come and take you away, but I guess you'd be held in contempt of court. You might go to jail.
It'll be one hell of a mugshot.
You might have to outdo Trump.
I would do my best. I don't think that's a good angle for me, but the lighting is a little weird, I'm sure. I don't think that she deserves to go through
No, of course.
what I'm being put through.
You would be very brave indeed if you went through with that, if it comes to that. But I guess also what I see in you is this willingness. You've resigned yourself to do eventually what you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
Whereas most humans will do anything to avoid being punished by the state. And you're not built that way. That's why you're on the show. That's why we brought you here.
Thank you.
Is a show for exceptional humans. And your price does seem to be your life. I've got a couple questions. Number one, you mentioned that you were afraid of not seeing your kids. I mean, in that situation, that would come to pass.
Right.
So what would you do with your children? Take care of your children.
I think I've had some very surface level discussions with my kids about what's going on. They don't really, they're teenagers-ish, and so they're not really absorbing the long-term impact. Right now, they're just like, "Oh my God, Elon Musk! I want a Tesla."
I want a Tesla.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll get one.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just
That's not
happy
why
to
you're
have.
doing this.
No, I'm just
No.
happy to have the legal
Yeah.
support. But I think it's this term keeps popping up in my head because I'm going down a nerd hole, but reading this book about how the Stoics influenced our founding fathers, and John Quincy Adams, like his motto was for future generations. So that's what I keep in the back of my head, is that this is not about me. This is not about the woman that took the photo. It's not about even the man who was in the photo. This is about creating a future that I'm comfortable with my kids living in. And if we'd continued down the path that we were on in 2023, and we hadn't passed the law that outlawed gender modification surgeries and medications, if we hadn't passed the Texas Women's Privacy Act, if we hadn't passed a lot of the stuff that we've passed in recent years, then what kind of future am I leaving for my kids if I just sit back and do nothing? So
where did you inherit that virtue from?
I have a very stubborn father and a mom. I remember when I was a child, my parents would come home and be like, "Oh, this guy snatched a purse from a woman that was on the street in front of us, and we just went running after him. Or we saw this guy run a stop sign, so we followed him all the way home or whatever. So slightly vigilante mindset for them, but they're people who believe in doing the right thing at all times.
And where are your parents from originally?
They're Texan, born and bred.
Texan, and are they still alive?
Yes.
And what do they think about what you're going through?
I need to ask my mom if she still has the text message that I sent her, my dad, the night that DPS took me into that holding office. I want to see what that exchange was. I obviously can't see it because I don't have that phone, but they're not happy for me is not the term to use. Proud, I guess, in many ways. They're probably more fearful than I am about the outcome. But they have tremendous values. They're very grounded, and they raised me well, I think.
It's been said that a parent it's harder for them to endure this if it's their child going through it than if they were going through it.
Yes.
Like when my parents saw me go through things, it was actually harder on them than it was on me, which struck me as a little bit counterintuitive because I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
But you're always going to be their
baby,
their daughter, their baby. So it may be harder in your case on them that it sounds to me, just observing you.
Yeah.
They might take it more difficult than you do.
My mom, when the Elon stuff came out and it started to get more media attention again, she was asking me, do you have security at your home? And I mean, my husband has his own pieces of security at home. So I'm not super worried about that. But I have done events in Austin, counter protests to Pride and things like that, where I do have to hire private security. Not just for me, but for the other women that come. I have a responsibility to people that come to these events to keep them safe. But in those high profile situations, I'll have a one-on-one.
Are you concerned more with your physical safety or the legal situation? Does one of those rank as more concerning to you?
Physical safety.
Physical is more concerning to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do you? A lot of people, particularly after Charlie Kirk's death, they talk about they say this to me privately. They go, "Oh well, I don't want to speak up because look what they did to Charlie Kirk." Kind of goes back to what happened in Dallas in 1963. If they can kill JFK, they can kill, a doctor that saw the bullet wound. There's this sort of private confession. Now, they might kill me if I speak up. So how do you reconcile that? I mean, does it go back to the Stoics and John Quincy Adams for you, or what's your reconciliation in your own mind about that?
I mean, things were happening on that scale for me before what happened with Charlie Kirk, and so it actually made me more comfortable with the way that I choose to live my life and to live it boldly and to live it unashamed of what I think and what I believe to be right and true. A few months, I think 4 months after this incident in 2023, I was baptized, and I cannot communicate to you how freeing that is, that I don't worry about the outcome of things nearly as much as I used to. There's not nearly as much anxiety.
Do you attribute that to the baptism?
Yes, and just leaning into my faith and
the baptism was as a result of this circumstance?
No, I'd started attending church again a few years before that. I was raised Christian, non-denominational. We went to church irregularly, kind of. My husband grew up Lutheran, was very committed to finding a church home for us. And once we found some place that fit for our family, it was just impressed upon my heart really strongly to continue to do what I'm doing, but to do it without nearly as much anxiety as I would have before.
And speaking of your husband, to the extent you're comfortable saying, how does he approach all this?
I think he just wakes up every morning thinking like, what's going to happen today, kind of thing. You know, he's happy to be in the background and support everything that I do. Um, like you said at the outset, I'm the county chair in my Republican Party in my county. He's a precinct chair, so he sees a lot of the things that I do, and he's happy that somebody has the balls to do it.
Your husband is happy that someone has
Yeah.
the balls to do it.
Because he would just, he doesn't know how to.
What does he do for a living?
He works for a John Deere,
John Deere.
rental company.
It's a very Texan thing, I guess.
Yeah,
there.
when I met him, he was a semi driver
Oh.
and a Marine reservist, and he switched to the office so I could be more active in politics.
What's the most frequently asked question you've gotten from people, from the public, from going online? What do people ask you the most?
If I'm scared.
If you're scared.
Yeah.
Because they're scared, probably.
Right.
It's interesting.
Or they would be if they were put in
your
this situation.
situations.
I'm not sure, and I don't think that I don't think I'm an exceptional human being. I just have a really loud mouth, and my F-it bucket is empty at this age. And I just really I strongly feel like my daughter's future depends on people like me doing the smallest things. You know, I have a friend that lives in Mexico, fled from Canada, but she was banned from Twitter for like 4 or 5 years for just saying men can't be women, though. And it sparked in her this need to continue along that path. I mean, just being banned for saying a sentence switched up her entire value set. She was raised in a socialist household. But now I think she's a dual citizen. She told me in 2024 that she was going to go to, America just so that she could vote for Trump.
You have any regrets? Would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No
Yeah,
regrets.
that's another special quality within you. And maybe it's not that you're extraordinary, but you're ordinary. You're the ordinary man, so to speak, that you're willing to do the common sense thing. But no regrets, do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's January 15th. You said it's May is the statute of limitations. I don't know. I mean, if I was a betting man, I doubt he's going to do anything.
I doubt it as well. But like I said, you never know.
You never know.
So better
it's
be
it's a
safe than
sword of
sorry.
Damocles. The sword of Damocles is that blade that hangs over. I don't know if you can throw an image on Google Images. It hangs over your head, and you live with that.
Yeah.
And it can fall at any moment.
The phrase I use is it loomed over me, but that's
Loomed
far
over
more
you. The ancients called it the sword of Damocles.
Yeah.
And the FBI thing, for me, it was about September 2021 to February 25. So 4.5 years, sword of Damocles. And you learn to live with it.
Yeah.
You just learn to go about your day.
Because most of the time it's just very quiet. It's not you're not inundated all day, every day with this. It's just kind of, it's in the background.
It's in the background.
Yeah.
And the process is the punishment.
I'm still going to the grocery store. I'm still pumping my gas.
What's remarkable about your case is it's literally a photo.
Yeah.
It's not like you conspired to invade the Capitol building and insurrection. It's not even like the semblance of a crime or the preponderance. It's just like a tweet.
Yeah.
It's just you went on your phone and typed a few words.
It's a routine thing that so many people do on a regular basis and give no further thought to
Literally,
it whatsoever.
I mean, someone else could have done the same thing if the other individual had posted the photo.
Right.
And they, so that's why that's why I'm making a prediction, which I never do. My staff knows this, but I feel compelled to tell you that it's highly, highly, highly unlikely. And even if it did happen, the only way you could lose is if you apologized.
No.
Or if you sold out the truth to protect yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And just having gotten a chance to sit with you, there's no way you're going to do that.
No.
I can't. So therefore, I don't think you're going to lose. Sword of Damocles. That's not the image I had in mind, guys. That's like a really ancient. I was thinking more like from the French Revolution, the guillotine kind of dynamic. But
yeah.
but in the beginning it was a little fearful. I think we're going to close here soon. Is there
Sure.
anything else I didn't ask you, or anything else you wanted to cover from your situation, or you want the public to know, other than your Give, Send, Go page, which we'll put up again?
No, I feel very fortunate that I have a good team behind me, and that support system is growing. Um, the thing I love about Give, Send, Go is that you can send prayers even if you can't send money, and that really is an action that people can take if they want to get involved, and one that I appreciate equally to any kind of financial support. I'll finally get to meet one of the attorneys in like 10 days. He'll be at an event. So he lives in my county. It'll be an honor to meet him and just shake his hand and thank him, because they don't have, like, there's enough going on Elon Musk's plate. They don't have to get involved in some suburban mom's, loudmouth case. But, and even if the criminal statute of limitations runs out, my intent is to continue forward with the lawsuit, because it's a matter of principle. There should never be a woman put into the position that I was put in, which is, like I said, I'm not willing to name the person that took the photo because she doesn't deserve it.
Does anybody else know who did, other than you?
I've never told anybody, not
Does
even
anybody else
privately.
know?
I think, well, she took the photo off of her Facebook.
I see.
So if anybody knew, it was just in that immediate sense.
People, I have one last question.
Sure.
People always ask, what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned the Give, Send, Go page. Put up again, everyone.
Thank you.
This is Michelle Evans's Give, Send, Go. The goal is 50,000, raised 8,500. If you can't give money, you can give prayers, and that's very much appreciated. And I know the owner of Give, Send, Go, great guy from Massachusetts.
They're very sweet. They'll call you and pray over you.
Very kind people.
Yeah.
Very, very, very giving and generous of his time. But if someone wants to get involved in this issue, exposing what's happening with kids, the trans issue, and they say, Michelle, what can I do? I want to do something. What's your response to them?
I'm sure that there's a million different spun up orgs across the United States. I have been involved with Independent Women's Network, which Independent Women's Forum. They've done a lot on this issue. They've given a platform for some friends of mine, like Amy Ichigawa out of California, who's talked about the men and women's prisons there. You had Vanessa Sivajan, it's a friend of mine, just one of the most authentic, sweet,
very
Swedish
sweet
people. She has Protecting Texas Children, so I encourage people to get involved in legitimate organizations like those. And just do the simplest, most right thing you can possibly do every single day. Do the next right thing.
Do the next right thing.
I won't take credit for that. I listen to a lot of Allie Beth Stuckey, and she says that. So.
Allie Beth Stuckey, do the next right thing. I like to say, tell the truth. Just be honest.
Yeah.
Don't lie, or do the right thing every day in your own life. And those organizations, IWF, Protecting Children in Texas.
Protecting Texas Children.
Okay, well, great to have you here.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
What is your price? Because if your price is not your life, then you are for sale.